Gentlemen, welcome to the Asia Smart App Summit. I'm Isis, your MC of today's event. Organized by the Wireless Technology Industry Association WTIA, the Asia Smart App Summit is one of the most prominent events in Asia. Thanks to our sponsor, Create Hong Kong, the government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, the summit enters its 8th edition of the award scheme. Today, we are very delighted to have the opportunity to meet 13 top speakers from different regions and domain experts across Asia. They will share with us the latest insights and the best practices on smart app development. To kick off today's event, may I have the honor to invite Mr. Roy Law, Chairman of the Hong Kong Wireless Technology Industry Association, WTIA, to present on stage to deliver the welcome remarks. Roy, please.
Our partners, co-organizers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome all to the Asia Smart App Summit 2021. As the organizer of Asia Smart App Award, I hereby represent the Hong Kong Wireless Technology Industry Association to extend my warmest welcome to participate from Hong Kong and also numerous Asian countries and regions. Our mission is to bring leaders and members together to create limitless possibility by pushing adoption standards and boosting interoperability. We strive to help members apply latest wireless technologies to existing and new business. And we shall further facilitate the growth of smart app sector in Asia with all of your support to enter the times of new normal under COVID-19 pandemic situation. With all of your support, first ever summit on webcast where 15 regional partners share their actionable insights and experience on how app development evolving during COVID-19 is finally here. Before I pass the stage to our speakers, may I take a moment to introduce what is ASA. Coming into the 8th sections this year, which is aimed to recognize the excellence of innovative smart app development and provide a platform for top smart app professionals in the region to meet, share, collaborate, and learn from each other. We are very grateful to have recognition from 15 regional partners in 2020, increased to 16 this year. May I please express appreciation to every parties, Create Hong Kong, our sponsors, their support to us not limited to ASA, but encourage all sectors in local IT industry. Support, co-organizer provides venue, setup, support, and strong backup with innovative incubating community. Dub Hub, our collaboration partner with passion webs towards creative startups. Hong Kong Productivity Council, our implement agency, provides professional advice. Let us have an in-depth knowledge on performance and expectation of IT industry future of Hong Kong, and overseas through conducting the mobile apps industrial survey. Our 16 regional partners unfailing support even under the COVID-19 situation, recruiting excellent content staff, as well as bunch of supporting organizations, promoting activities, spread the joy and enjoyment. And our Cortesa, a remarkable number of applications from 17 regions received this year, and meaning ASA is one step further to its mission and become a reliable and recognizing award in Asia. Last but not the least, our audience who sit in front of the summit live broadcast. We cherish the generous support, and I sincerely hope all of you enjoy this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Please remain on stage. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite all speakers to take an e-group photo together. May the following speakers please join us for the photo. Please welcome Mr. Tanvir, Director of Bangladesh Association of Software and Information Services, Bangladesh. Mr. Sokha, Senior Startup Development Specialist of Techo Startup Center, Cambodia. Mr. Pradeep Daga, Secretary of Infotech Software Dealers Association, ASA2021, India. Mr. Wago Widahaso, Manager of Integration and Community Engagement, Telkom, Indonesia. Mr. Hanan Nifskin, founder of Kids Child Safety, Israel. Mr. Koji Ito, Executive Director of Mobile Contents Forum, Japan. Mr. Sensing, Council Member of the National Tech Association of Malaysia, Malaysia. Mr. Sam Wong, General Manager of TuxPark, Hong Kong, Mainland. Mr. Toon King, Chairman of Myanmar Computer Professionals Association, Myanmar. Mr. Rajkumar Kanagasangan, President of FinTech Association of Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka. Mr. Alan Jongku, Director of Taiwan Startup Stadium, Taiwan. Mr. Prista Hiranaburna, Senior Consultant of Business Innovation Center, National Science and Technology Development Agency, Thailand. Mr. Vine Antunan, Vice Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City Computer Association, Vietnam. So everybody, please take a look at the camera. A big smile to the camera, please. Again, let's count together. 3, 2, 1. Cheers. Okay, now we're checking if the photo is okay. Okay, let's have another picture together. Another big smile to the camera, please. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us online. Thank you, everyone. And Roy, now you may take a seat first. Thank you so much. So next, let's begin the presentation section. May I have the honor to invite Mr. Tanvir Hossain, Director of Bangladesh Association of Software and Information Services, to share the content of XR, the next evolution of app. Mr. Kind, please.
Hello, my name is Tanvir Khan. I'm currently working as founder and CEO in Dreamerz Lab and also serving myself as a director in BASIS, which is the Bangladesh Software Association and Service. And today my topic is the XR, the next evolution of app. Before we move forward, let me give you a little bit of idea what is actually XR. So XR is basically the umbrella term of augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So this is going to be the life changer in coming days. My estimation is like a next 5 to 10 years later, every single mobile application will be based on this XR technology. So today I'm going to present you some case studies based on which this XR will make a major impact in coming years, and how we can prepare ourselves as a developer and how we can reach to our consumers. So that is my goal into this presentation. So let's start. Sorry. Okay, so let look into some of the case study here. So the industry I would like to cover today is, first of all, the education industry, healthcare, training, automobile, lifestyle, and real estate. So if we go to the context of each industry, so first of all is the online education, remote training, and real-time simulation for healthcare, and automobile for product configuration, lifestyle for virtual tour, and real estate for interactive sales page. And we can see different opportunities based on this case study. First of all, real-time interactions for the online education, then deeper understanding of the context, what the lessons are providing from the faculty and the teachers and professors, real-time product configuration for automobile and different industry, along with the data analysis for faculty and management. Also, this is very vital for minimize the cost that is required for any kind of training, etc. And on-demand virtual tour of the real environment from a remote location for lifestyle and real estate solutions. So there, as I was saying, this is a new technology, and we are yet to adapt with it. But in coming years, that this will play a very vital role in almost all the industry, right? Especially in the industry that I mentioned in my previous slide. But there are some challenges we need to keep in our mind. First of all, as this is a new technology, a lot of people are unaware of how to use this application and what are the business cases and everything, right? So we need to build up the awareness. Most of the consumer stakeholders mentioned are not fully aware of the scope. And we also keep in mind the adaptability, because in globally there are some XR solutions already providing by a lot of companies, including big names like Microsoft, Facebook, and so many others. But the adaptability rate is still very slow. Most of the solutions and the apps that are currently in the market are from B2B perspective, business to business, not B2C, business to consumer, right? So we need to work on the adaptability so that we can build solutions or build the app for the largest consumer, right? So because of the different app use case, context, and UX and hardware, that is slower than the other technology. And the challenge 3, that's the most important one, that is hardware dependency, because most of the people we have today have already used smartphones, right? But not all the smartphones have the AR supported technology as of now. But we're pretty much sure and estimating that in coming years, all the devices in a mobile segment will have the AR supported device. And for PC, it requires a high configured machine, and that is also very expensive. And for immersive experience, VR device is also required, and we don't have like VR devices in every consumer. Like in most of the consumer today have mobile phone and laptop or PC. So the VR device is not available in everyone's home. So that's why it is very difficult to build a solution or app that is going to target the larger audience. The solution, what are the things we can do to overcome those challenges? First of all, a lot of public awareness programs is required to visually showcase the use cases and the advantage of this technology, so that user can better understand how this technology will make a major impact in their daily life. Sorry. So rather than forcing consumer to directly jump into these solutions, we should offer them this solution as a value-added feature with the existing one which are adapted. So basically what I was trying to say, that if we build an XR application, user will find it very difficult to use. But for the start, initially what we can do, that with the existing feature that users already being adapted themselves, we can offer this XR solution as a small feature, as a value-added service with the existing app and service, so that user can try it out by themselves, so that they can understand what's the use case and advantage of it. And first of all, make the device available to the consumer, and that is very important, because as long as we don't have the devices, the hardware to the consumers, we won't be able to sell the right solutions to the consumer. Implementation. Now I'd like to share how we can strategically implement these solutions and get our target audience attention, so that they can download, install, and buy this kind of software and application. So first of all, as I was saying, keep the existing service or solution with which users have already adapted themselves. Don't just throw it out right away. Let us invite them first, so that they don't get scared of this new technology. The second step is offer 3D interactions in a 3D space so that user can easily navigate and adapt the 3D interactions before moving to the immersive experience of XR. So the XR experience has the 3D interaction. So before we move into the XR part directly, what we can do, we can have 3D interactions in a separate as a feature so that they can adapt themselves in the 3D interaction first. Later, what we can do, we can use the XR experience along with the existing solution service and the 3D interaction as a value-added feature, which is nice to have. So the user don't have to feel they have to buy it to use it. They can just trial themselves out with some nice small features so that they can get themselves adopted, right? And the step 4, provide interactive tutorials along with the video and text tutorials on how to use the applications to help user adapt with the XR feature. And finally, build the app in a way so that users who don't have the supported device right now, because as I was saying throughout the presentation, a lot of users don't have the supported hardware. So we have to build the app in a way so that the user don't have the supported device can also learn about the advantages of it through some videos and draw their attention with some exciting offers, something like that. Okay, so the impact, what impact will this technology will make in the coming days, in coming years with the application that is going to have this XR technology? 80% increase of retaining the information because of visual and interactive class and training. Because as we know, the people usually retain information what they see, right? So what they just read it out loud or in different places, they won't retain those information. There's the percentage of just 10 or 20%. But if these technologies are on board, 80% increase of retaining the information will be achieved. So I think it's a very major impact it's going to place in the coming years. So that's all from me for this presentation. If you need some collaboration with me for this kind of technology, or if you want to learn more about it, you can get in touch with me in the following social handles like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and you can also email me at tanvir@dreamerzlab.com, and you can also check out my website, and you can also get in touch with me in the instant messaging like Telegram and WhatsApp. And that's all from me. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I would like to hear them. And or you can just directly reach me out in the previous channels that I am currently in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kind. Next, we have Mr. Sokha, Senior Startup Development Specialist of Techo Startup Center, to share on startup ecosystem in Cambodia. Way forward. Mr. Sokha, please.
So let me share the screen first. Okay. Okay. Do everybody see it clearly? Okay. So greeting from Cambodia. I'm Phanith, a senior startup development specialist in Techo Startup Centers, an innovative arm under Ministry of Economy and Finance, also under the government of Cambodia. And today, I'm very delighted to tell all of you about the startup ecosystem in Cambodia, maybe something that you want to know about the current situation, and maybe after the way forward that we are doing in order to support the startup ecosystem in Cambodia. So, wait, here's, I'm sorry, let me share. So for the startup ecosystem in Cambodia, if you ask me, like, how is the startup ecosystem in Cambodia right now? Of course, the startup ecosystem in Cambodia right now is vibrant. There are so many activities that are happening. There are so many stakeholders that are supporting the startup in Cambodia right now. But if you have the other questions to ask, what is the level of vibrancies? How many startups have been scaling up? How many startups are survived after the last 5 years? How much contribution of the startup to the GDP in Cambodia? How many jobs are created? What innovation have been created by the startup in Cambodia? Of course, that's the questions. There's no data yet, you know. Yeah, there's nothing that can answer this question yet. And if you ask why, of course, there are some challenges for the startup. So imagine if you are the startup in Cambodia and you want to run the startup, what are the challenges that you're gonna face? The first thing, you're gonna have the hard time to find the mentors. Of course, the mentors in Cambodia here is still limited in terms of, I can say like, it's not really limited, but it's a bit hard to find the mentor in Cambodia. So in some case, and even though the startup want to join the program, like startup program, incubation, accelerations, what kind of program they can join? Where can I find the information about the startup program? And if there's some kind of the event and networking, so where can I find all of them? Yes, so these are some kind of challenge that startup in Cambodia right now are facing. And for the government itself, of course, for the startup, they need to register. But the problem that happening in Cambodia right now, the policy is not really positive for the startup to support the startup yet, because registering the new company, in Cambodia right now is easy. But in some case, when you want to close the company, it's another startup, it's another story. And for the startup, of course, if they want to run the startup, opening the startup, the company, it's okay for them. But however, startup is very challenging. They are very facing a lot of risk. So closing the company is something, that they need, they kind of like afraid of. And if they cannot register, and if they want to register, if they cannot register the company, what are the problems? Of course, the bank cannot allow them to borrow the money. They cannot have the corporate accounts. Even the venture capital, they're gonna lower their value of the startup as well. So this kind of problem that happening for the startup. And even the talent pool in Cambodia right now is limited, because not only the startup itself in Cambodia is increasing, but also other sectors that also go digital. So in terms of the talent pool, IT sectors, the people, the company try to pull all of them into their sectors. That also some kind of a challenge for the startup founders in order to run the startup as well. So I just want you to imagine another thing for the startup. Why I say like startup in Cambodia is vibrant. So if you imagine that creating the startup is like the cooking, the food, of course, if you want to make a good food, you need some kind of different ingredient, right? The same for the startup. If you want to make the startup successful, we need different kind of actors, ingredients, to put into it in order to make the startup successful. And in Cambodia, there are many kind of support from different actors. We have government support, we have university support, we have the support from the community, investment funding, corporate, of course. There are many more that are providing support in Cambodia right now in order to support the startup. I can show you here. So from the government sectors, we can see that the government try to support the startup. They try to run to create the new policy, some kind of supporting policy in order to support the startup. So under the ministry, under the government itself, you can see some kind of logo here. I just want you to show you the logo here. You can see. So different ministry under the government of Cambodia, they create different kind of the function, institution, government sectors in order to support the startup. You can see different logo under the ministry. You can see we just one of the logo, we just one of the institution under Ministry of Economy and Finance, but there are more other actors under ministry, under the government of Cambodia that are created in order to support the startup as well. Okay. So here some kind of logo from university that are also joining to support the startup, to produce more talent, to produce a supporting program to support the startup as well. Here are the logo from corporate supporter development partner. Here you can see, yeah. So yeah, many logo can say, yeah. So here you can see. So all in all here, what I want to show all of you, I want to try to tell all you that you can see that many actors that are happening are trying to support the startup in Cambodia. Many activity, but why startup Cambodia is facing the challenge? At the moment ago, I showed you the challenge that faced by the founders, but for the startup ecosystem in Cambodia itself, there's other thing I can tell. Okay, let me show you in here. So there are 4 key challenges that can be identified that that are the problem in ecosystem. The first one is that startup in Cambodia here, there's a fragmentation between stakeholder in ecosystem. This is the first one. The second one is we are lack of data of the informations, I can say. We don't have even low investments data that, okay, how much that have been funded to support the startup, how many startups are in Cambodia right now, how many surviving, how many are dying, are closing. Of course, we are lack of those data. Number three, we lack out the collaborations. Most of the actors, you can see, most of the logo here, you can see different actors, they are working. However, there's no collaboration. There's no a very interactive collaboration yet. Most of them are working more like solely, based on, working to support a startup, but not really in terms of collaboration to support each other, to complement each others. And by this case, some kind of activity also overlap. So when we overlap the activity, of course, for the impact, we also provide the same impact. I mean, like, it's not really complement each other, but it's more like we're doing the same thing. Yeah, so it's a third challenge. And the fourth challenge is that we are like of the digital platform that's serving as a directory for the startup ecosystem as a whole as well. So by this case, we have, but for the way forward, I mean, I can say like we are moving forward because we are starting to have something to show, to solve all this challenge. So we're starting to have the Startup Cambodia National Program. It's kind of something that can solve the problem because, like I mentioned earlier at the moment ago, we are lack of something that connect all the stakeholders to get into one point, like the one hub information for all the stakeholders. But right now, we are starting to have the Startup Cambodia National Program that are implemented by the government and supported from our side because the two startup centers we are and also Kumar Enterprise are appointed to cooperate in order to run the National Startup Cambodia's national program that we call it Startup Cambodia's. And the mission is very simple. I think I can say that in other country, I think in some other country already have the national program, also one hub information already. And I can say that. And so for us, so Startup Cambodia here is we try to promote startup and entrepreneur ecosystem in Cambodia through the government support and coordination mechanism in order to facilitate the interaction among the ecosystem actors, like I mentioned earlier, different actors, different stakeholders from the different countries. I'm like including different countries as well as from the different stakeholders from the sector as well, like corporate developments, private, public, yeah, so on and so forth. So the objective of the national program here is to provide the connectivities to connect all the stakeholders together at the startup ecosystem, not only for internal, but also from external as well. The second, to foster the collaborations among each others, like incubation of the startup by providing support, leverage, and others through the co-creation mechanism, like I said. Rather than we do something the same, why don't we try to find out what we are doing and try to cooperate and complement each others? And second, it will play a role as a resource. It can collect all the information into one place and become the one hub information that for all other stakeholders in order to find out what the information about startup ecosystem in Cambodia here. And last but not least, it becomes the national platform in order to connect not only for the stakeholder in Cambodia, but also the stakeholder in other countries as well. So the four components of the national program here, we have four. The first one is Startup Nurturing Program. We're gonna provide and collect all the program, the supporting program in Cambodia, like hackathon, bootcamp, incubation, acceleration, and everything into that program. The second, we provide a community program in order to foster the interaction among stakeholders from one to another, like workshop, meetup, networking, talk show, award, expose, others, yes, so on. The third function, we have research policy program. We also trying to collect all the research policy data resource into the national program as well to provide back to all other stakeholders. Last but not least, we have the digital platform program that is startupcambodia.gov.kh. So we have other platform as well, but this kind of platform will be something that you can get into the platform in order to learn about the startup in Cambodia as well. So here is the website. You can see, you can go there, startupcambodia.gov.kh. Yeah, and here is the pace of development, the roadmap that we are trying to create right now. So for us, Startup Cambodia's national program, it just launched a few months ago. It was launched in December 2021. So it's just in the early stage. And for now, it serves the country as the ecosystem directories, like One Hub informations. So we have a list down all the supporting program for startup, events, resource, and research as well. But in phase 2 in 2022 here, we are trying to make it more vibrant in terms of smart margins. We want to build the platform. It's just like One Hub information, but also the platform that can connect and foster more collaboration by providing the stakeholder can access into the platform and become the player in the platform as well. So the player can be like, they can log in, they can register, and then they can, interact with others by creating the events, by providing the supporting program of them into the platform by themselves. But for now, we are trying to collect information. We are the one who collect and put in the platform. But for now, and like in 2022 here, we are trying to connect to other stakeholders to make them become the player and for them to put the information in the platform by themselves. Yep. So here is the phase one-stop information hub that I said. So we have the startup program. We have the profile from each stakeholders. We have event calendars that list down every event that happening in Cambodia, and we have the resource that including everything that we have now in the platform as well. So yeah. So here's just like the display. You can see program in the website. Platform here. Yeah. So here is the number of the ecosystem right now that we are trying to collect. The number is still very low because we are in the state that trying to connect and collect everything into the platform. So in phase 2 in 2022 here, like I said, we want to make them more interactive by providing the stakeholders to have the access to get into the platform and become the players, one of the players, in order to make more interaction and collaboration among the stakeholders. So here the Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 we are doing right now. Yeah. So here's just the activity I just want to show you right now in 2022. Here's what we have been doing. So there are many activities right now that are happening. So you can get into the link in order to see more activity and program that are supporting the startup ecosystem in Cambodia right now. So that's all for me. If you have any more information and want to seek for collaboration between, the startup ecosystem in Cambodia and in your country, of course, we are open. And we look forward as well in order to build a more vibrant ecosystem, not only in Cambodia, but also in Asia as well. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sokha. Next, may I have the honor to invite Mr. Pradeep Daga, Secretary of Infotech Software Dealers Association, ASA2021, to share with us on how app development evolved during COVID-19 and ASA2021 perspective. Mr. Daga, please.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, WTIA, for inviting us and making us live over here. Welcome everybody at the jury. Hello all. Biggest development in the technology mankind has ever seen, which changed the facet at the entire technology and development. Three-letter word, we are hooked. Any guesses? What is the three-letter word? Yes, guys, you are right. It is ACT, which is otherwise called as ACT, or you can call it as APP, which is otherwise apps. At a snap of a finger today, everything is at your doorstep. What a wonderful era. Now let's go through the small presentation with overview, how the apps developed during the COVID-19. 7 things to put into the pandemic app development perspective. I would like to divide this into 2. One is pandemic-driven development. Second is the pandemic-driven adoption. Now, if we talk about the pandemic-driven development, you can say as farm produce direct to consumers, point-to-point couriers on 2-wheelers, work from home productivity monitoring. Other one is the pandemic driven adoption. On this, if you see, there are a lot of apps which is already there. I bring to your notice that many apps existed, but did we ever notice them? COVID taught us. COVID got them into limelight. Some of the fantastic apps which were there, but we were not there for them. My take on this is that it brought us closer and it showed us the mirror. Was there a full use? No, I disagree. Cloud adoption by developers increased exponentially. Adherence to privacy laws and cybersecurity solutions. Age groups that had to hoop with the choice under 10 and senior citizens. Two things on apps. One is the development and the other is a full use of app. I emphasize on the full use of the fullest was during COVID times. This is when your apps become successful. The development has led the vast performance platform for the kids and elders. Children were introduced to do so many words. Classroom, Zoom classes, scalable platform used to use case essential apps rather than only those meant for shopping or gamification. Now, this is a beautiful side which I like to show you, and this is a market report where the app consumption trends has reached 6.8 billion. People now shop on their smartphones, which is 55% increase in day-to-day activity on the online shopping through the 6 trillion. Generated 7.4 billion has been generated through the gaming players spending. Now, the specific thing which I like to highlight over here is, which is for my personal benefit on these apps. Now I don't have to go for shopping with my wife. Her entire shopping has become online. And I'm sure all husbands over here, present over here, will agree to it. These are small snippets which a news article shares the permanent changes that a pandemic brought to the app developers and behaviors. Everyone wants things to happen from the comfort of their device, immediately, easily, without failure, securely, and the cost effectively. Now, the important point over here in India specifically, there has been a tremendous emergence of e-governance and compliance and the documentation that now be done online without the need of the red tapism. Example, Tatkal passports. Now, if I wish to travel to Hong Kong with an immediate urgency, I just have to opt it on the online and I can get it within 24 hours. I can get my passport. I can even get my visa done at the same time. In 2 words, I will call these apps as Genie. Every individual, this is a future. To summarize, we want to convey 2 things. One, apps that save time, add to convenience, help avoid social interaction and offer gamification and discounts. The other one that will be downloaded and more of use of multiple use cases. We have spoken enough about the development, but what about the most important thing after development? What is the use of a development apps and not using it? That development is the failure. The development is successful, which makes a change in the society, which makes society much better. This is what happened during COVID. Development is what happened during the COVID. I repeat again, development was one side of the coin, but making the use of those apps to the fullest was a game changer. People identified their necessity, they worked on it, they implemented it, and then they became successful. Thank you. This is Pradeep Daga. You can reach me. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daga. Next, please welcome Mr. Wago Widahaso, Manager of Integration and Community Engagement, Telkom Indigo Indonesia, to share on the topic of the collaboration model startup corporate in digital service development. Mr. Widahaso, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the committee, board of judges, my fellow regional co-organizer, and all the participants. I hope you are in well and in good condition today. Before I start the session, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Regrettably. I'm from Telkom Indonesia in Indigo program. So, what is the Indigo program? So this is the highlight of the Telkom Indonesia Group investing arm in the startup ecosystem in Indonesia. We divide it into two focus. The first one is capital gain focus, and the next one is the synergy focus. In the capital gain focus, we have the program from the pre-seed into the series C or the next series. And the synergy focus, we have Indigo program, and then the Telkomsel Mitra Inovasi, TMI, and MDI 500. So in Telkom Indonesia, we have in every stage of the investment of the startup. So this is the about the Indigo program. Indigo is an end-to-end program for early stages startup in Indonesia, initiated by Telkom in 2013. Indigo has become the most notable incubator or accelerator in Indonesia. And until now, we have incubated more than 200 startups in Indonesia, with half of them actively in industry. We divided into three levels of the startup. The first level is a pre-startup program. Pre-startup program is about how to encourage founder and a community to develop their idea, to validate their idea into the product or a minimum viable product. After and then the next one is incubation program. The incubation program is focused on the product validation and the business model validation. And the last program is acceleration program. The acceleration program focus on the how to make the product is scaling up or growth 10x or more. So we provide the mentoring, funding, and all the Telkom Group support and infrastructure, connectivity, the co-working space. And Indigo has presence in the 16 cities in Indonesia, from Western Indonesia to Eastern Indonesia. Our purpose is to unlocking real access for every vision of Indonesian founder to embody their digital innovation. So I will like to talk about how Telkom Indonesia develop the digital service or product. Telkom Indonesia using tribe squad approach to develop a digital service. Tribe using more ecosystem view to develop it digital product or service. Let's say we have tribe alpha. In the tribe alpha, we have 1, 2, or maybe maximum 5 squad in the tribe, and in every squad we have a personnel that called chapter. Chapter is kind of like in every squad we must have to at least 3 chapter. The chapter 1 is a developer, and the second one is the designer, and the last one is data science chapter. So the squad is consists of minimum 3 chapter, and then we use the framework of lean canvas, a digital product development process from idea validation and then the customer validation, product validation, business model validation, and market validation. And we're using the method like design thinking, learn UX development cycle, and operation cycle, and growth marketing. So this is how the mechanism of the Indigo startup from the Indigo collaborating with the entities in the Telkom group. So the first model is about, we call it the complement model. The startup have a product, develop a product, and maybe that the product can support the digital product initiated by the Telkom. So the Telkom maybe can connect to API connect to the startup for some features or maybe some of the function, and then built by the tribe, built by the squad, and then go to commercialization. And the second model is about integrating model. The integrating model is quite interesting because this is a new approach from us in the last year. We are trying to integrate the startup to tribe. So the startup become some like a squad in the tribe. So all of the startup entities, you can mention like the product, you can mention like the resources, and then all the resources like coding, like all the infrastructure. So the startup become the squad, and then maybe that's the product can become a portfolio of Telkom Indonesia. So this is the example in the last year collaboration between Telkom and our startup, Indigo startup. Telkom have developing the application Agree. It's an agriculture digital solution in Indonesia. Agree provide integrated solution for agriculture on digital platform. This kind of bigger platform because we have to connect to the finance institution. We connect to the market. I mean that the traditional or modern market in Indonesia, and we connect to the IoT platform for the smart farming. So this is the big platform that developed by Telkom. And then we have the startup name is Tumbasin. Tumbasin is a mobile app which help users to buy directly from Indonesia traditional market. So the focus of the Tumbasin is Indonesia traditional market. They have the traditional market to digitally or with technology to shift to digital. So Agree collaborating with Tumbasin in API integration and then creating new application called AgriMart. Telkom Indonesia support the startup in infrastructure and connectivity, and Tumbasin creating an app that product market fit. So and then that AgriMart can penetrate to more than 100 traditional market in Indonesia. This is about the number, how the collaboration between Telkom and Indigo startup in the last year, in the pandemic, where we all know that we have all the limitation. So there's 21 startup that collaborate to Telkom and then involved in 27 project and then reach about $2 million gross revenue. I think it's quite interesting because maybe you know that Telkom Indonesia is a large enterprise in Indonesia, so they can be an agile company to develop digital product, and then we know that the startup is have the more agile resources, agile product, and we can collaborate together to make a bigger impact. So I think that was from me. Thank you.
So much, Mr. Widahaso. Next, we are excited to have Mr. Hanan Lipskin, founder of Keeps Child Safety, to share with us on the topic of lean and mean startup machine. Mr. Lipskin, please.
So first of all, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today with you. Let me share a little bit about myself, my background, and today we're going to talk more about the product side. So my name is Hanan Lipskin. I'm from Israel, Tel Aviv. I created a startup named Keeps Child Safety, which we sold to Rakuten, Vodafone, and many other clients around the world. Basically, what we have done, we were able to detect all of the incoming and outgoing text messages on all social medias. And if the information was toxic, then we could report it to the parent. My background is mainly from software engineering. I also created an application called Simplify that we have sold to El Al, which is the Israeli airline carrier, and also to Delta in the US. So this is a little bit about myself, and I want to share with you a little bit more about products. So before we go about products, we can just share a little bit what I've done. So the reason I created my startup was because I was trying to find a solution to a problem that I personally had. When I was a kid, we used to come back from school between 9 until 4, and then if you were bullied, it was ended. And today it's like 24/7. So I thought, social media created this problem, so maybe the high tech can also solve this problem. And this is why I created Keepers. Now, the reason that I've decided to work about product was my passion to do something which is amazing. It's not about the technology, it's about how people perceive it. And when you're talking about product that need to be managed for people, you always need to manage good communication between each other. Now, let me show you a short video of what I'm talking about, and this will summarize the introduction. Why do we need a really good product? Let's go. So this funny video really summarizes why most of the products that we know are failing. And if you know, most of the startups are due to be failed. And one of the reasons that most of them are failing is because they're not creating a product that people will want to use. So in order to make sure that we have a product that we have the market need, first of all, I highly encourage developers and entrepreneurs, same as you, first of all, to do a lean startup, which means start from small, making sure that people love your product and then goes on and on. For example, when I created Simplify, we first went to the Israeli airliner. It's an application for people who have fear of flights. We showed them a roadmap of our product. We told them exactly how the product will look like, what are the features, and only once we sign a design partner, then we started to do the coding. The coding is only on the last part of the startup journey when you're starting the POC. The coding is the last one to do. First of all, you need to make sure that you will have somebody who really wants it. And this is a lot of server that we need to make sure. So I highly encourage you all, which I know that you're all a successful startup because you're here. Always when you're creating a new feature, never forget the basics of making sure that we have the product market need. And why is that? Everybody today talking about buzzwords like the lean startup and the agile. So in the old world, we used to have the waterfall. When we had the product, we had the high-level design, the low-level design, etc. And then basically, we had a problem in this method. The problem is if you found any mistakes, it's really expensive to refactor and replace them or to fix them. And the other issue is we always need to make sure that we are talking with the product all of the time. This is why we have the Agile and the Lean Startup, which I'm assuming you all know. But the main reason that we have the Agile and the Lean Startup approach is that in every iteration, we are asking the clients, how do you feel? What is your reflection about a new feature, about a product? And this is the position of the product owner. So always talk about product in the sense of startups, because in my opinion, this is the best way to approach analytics, tools, statistic, whatever you can, just to make sure that you're right on spot every time, every feature, anywhere. Analytic is the most important, also for the shareholder, the stakeholders, the development team, for everyone. And basically, you can find something which is really interesting. When you want to build a new car, you need to make sure that you have the skateboard at falls, you will know how to adjust the wheels. When you have the scooter, you will know how to adjust the speed. The bicycles, you will have the traffic regulation. The motorcycle, you will have gas, for example, and mechanics, and etc. And then only then you can create a car, because if you will start too early and you will not go by those steps, eventually you will fail. I love to give this amazing example of Amazon. This is the first logo of Amazon, and this is the first website. And the reason is they wanted to check the key assumption. The key assumption was that people will be giving their trust on buying products online and inserting the credit card online, and then they will have the trust that the product will be there. So first of all, what Jeff Bezos, the creator of Amazon, did, first make sure that people are willing to answer the credit card to buy something. Then he used to go to the store, buy the specific book, and send it to them. This was before he created his business, before he had employees, before he had anything else, equipment, logistic, what have you, just to make sure that people are willing to play the game of online buying. So this is Amazon. Start with the MVP, making sure that people are willing to play the game for your new venture, your new feature, and only then move forward. And of course, make sure that people are perceiving your product as they should have. For example, in this scenario, this was a famous case of IKEA. All of the ice cream that you see here are the same. All of them are the same, they're just different prices and different packages. So you can feel that most of the people will buy the $10 ice cream because they don't want to buy the cheapest one, they don't want to buy the expensive one. So this is basically the decoy. This is also the decoy, so you can really navigate your clients on the product. And how do you do it? Again, analytics. And of course, another issue about the product, always remember the difference between UI and UX, making sure that you are creating a product that people will love to use. Just a small example, something small about myself. Always try to be creative. For example, if you know about the book, A Purple Cow is a really nice phrase of if you will go, for example, to the French Alps and you will see a lot of cows. Maybe you will take a picture, maybe you won't. But if one of them will be in the color of purple, of course you will. And as you can see in this picture, this is me and my wife. I have a really nice red Vespa. And twice a year, the seller of Vespa in Israel used to take us to a trip in the Israeli sightseeing of Vespa. He paid for a professional photographer. Then guess what? People on the street watching 200 beautiful Vespa, different colors, and it cost him almost nothing because it's a purple cow. It's something that you're not expecting to see 200 Vespas driving together. And then the exposure that he gets on Instagram and Facebook is enormous. And for almost something equivalent to $1,000, he gets exposure on social media and Instagram, which was a lot more. And always think about your client. For example, when you're buying an ice cream, this is a very famous place. You always get this bag, so you will always have something to drag about after you're buying the ice cream. So you will not forget it only once you're buying. This is example how much ice cream my wife just bought. And as you can see also in this example, this is the purple cow. There are many, many cars, but try to be different. Now, I know this short presentation was really short, couple of minutes, but I hope it's got you sparked some really cool ideas. Again, think smart, think small and then scale up, and always try to think outside of the box. Now, if any one of you have any question, any tips, anything you would like to ask me about NLP, AI, marketing, product, feel free to reach out. I promise to reply to each and every one of you. And I wish you all of the best. And I'm very proud of all of you. I've been watching your amazing startup, and I'm very happy to see you all here shining and exploring your startup to the new world. Thank you. Continue to be awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Lifskin. Next, we are glad to invite Mr. Koji Ido, Executive Director of Mobile Contents Forum, to share on the current situation for mobile app market in Japan. Mr. Ido, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Koji Ito. I'm representative of the Japan. First of all, I'd like to express condolences for victims of the COVID-19. I hope that everybody stays safe and healthy. Okay, today I want to share the current situation for the mobile apps market in Japan. Okay. Okay, today's agenda is three. One is a mobile apps market in Japan, and the second one, especially that I focus on the Web3 environment in Japan, and the third one is our activity. I'm the executive director of the mobile content forum right now. Okay, let's move to the first agenda. Okay, this slide is showing the top apps market ranking for 2021. Right, so download is first one is the PayPay is very famous in the mobile wallet in Japan, and then Line and Zoom is following, and then in terms of the consumer spend is the Piccoma and the Line Manga is the top ranking. They are free providing the free magazine and the comics. And then in terms of the monthly active user, the Line that still strong position in Japan. And the second one is it's a certification of the vaccinate for the government apps. And then social media also that's following the top 1, 2. This slide is showing that what is the agenda basis category, how the MIU is getting. In terms of mail is first one is certification of the vaccination apps, and the second one Amazon, and the third one is Yahoo. And in terms of female is the Line is the first one, and then major social media is following. Okay, this is some the hour spent in apps by category. It's quarterly basis is we are getting the improving the consumer spend because during the COVID, everybody forced to stay home, and then everybody spend a lot of the apps. Okay, this is slide is how the age group is consume the app. So Generation Z is tend to use the social media. Millennium is tend to use the business category like Amazon and PayPay, and the Latin Ishimo. And Generation X is the baby boomer is old ages that using that something the portal and the news something. Of course, certification of vaccinate apps is very dominant for this category. Okay, so I want to go deep into the mobile game industry in Japan. So last year, the total revenue is 18.4 billion USD, and then more than the US in terms of revenue, 233 apps is getting the revenue more than the USD 100 million. So the market is still growing up. And then, so if we look at the download basis, so last year is a little bit reduced the number of the download, but still getting the high number. Download is 730 million, 30 million. And then in terms of the revenue, so as I mentioned, so still going up. So compared to the 2020, so the growth rate is 6.5%. This is so age group index. In the Generation Z is first one is Pokemon, and the Millennium is Disney Toon. And then the Generation Z and the Baby Boomer is tend to use the casual game, Toon Black something. It's a quite a different type of the usage in the game industry. Okay, please show you that another category. Finance apps is download base is still growing up. So we expect more download and high revenue in this category. And then in terms of the health and the fitness, it's during the COVID is still going up, but now is getting reducing because COVID is coming down, and then everybody go out. So I think that people that stay there outside a lot. Okay, this is a shopping app. It's also usage time level, and that's still going up. And then of course during the COVID, everybody forced to stay at home, and then everybody consume something buy and some products through the online commerce. Okay, so let's talk about the Web3. Maybe that's everybody already know this. So this new paradigm shift is also in Japan. There's so many players coming. So at first, we are found that good business in the game industry because something that Web3, NFT, and the blockchain technologies are very fit for the game. So, but now it's expanding another industry. So you know that Web3 is something the paradigm shift for our society. Not only the purpose in the internet, but also the other business influence. And then keyword is NFT, DAO, and the DeFi, and the metaverse, right? So now it's still early stage, so we don't have any good example, but this trend is very big impact to the economy and the society. So Japanese government already addressed this Web3 in terms of especially in the NFT. So Japanese government released something the white paper of the NFT. So March of this year. So this including the foundation of the national strategy and the construction of the promotion system, and the measures necessary of the development of NFT business, and the measurement necessary to protect the right of the content holder, and also the user protection something. So if the NFT or metaverse, DeFi, and the DAO is quite new, and I think that we have many big opportunity, but still we have to discuss how to protect the consumer and the society something. Okay, so last one is I want to share our mobile content forum. So mobile content forum is the largest mobile association in Japan. So we have the membership of more than 100 people. It's involving big company with LINE or Yahoo or some major big company, a gaming company or something, right? The last year, so Japanese government have passed act on improving transparency or fairness on digital platform. We call the TFDPA, right? So this new law is effective executed February 1st, 2021. So MCF has built the digital platform consultation desk we call DPCD under the Ministry of the Economy, Trade and the Industry. So our mission is how support the business unit and then the data platform. So we are creating the healthy environment on the data platform. This is showing the website. So everybody access this site, and if someone has an issue against the data platform, so we can consult it. And then sometimes we help tackle something incident. Yeah. So main support of the DPCD is a provision of the advice about how to ask the question and consult with data platform provider. Sometimes for the app developer is quite hard to communicate, directly communicate with the data platform. And then provision of the information from lawyer and finance assistant. So we have retained some the lawyer, expert of this area, so we can coordinate something consultation from the lawyer, something. And then identification of the issue that common to multiple consultants and the discussion of the solution. And the support of the promoting the mutual understanding with the platform provider. And then holding the briefing the session and the legal consultation of the business using data platform. So this is I think that this is a global issue because each country is dominated by the big tech company like Google and Apple. And the mobile OS device also dominated by some of the big tech company. So sometimes a local company is very hard to negotiate, discuss. Also, if new technology coming, so everybody annoying that how to address changing the guideline, the policy on that data problem something. And that's why our mobile content forum is helping the business developer to settle this kind of issue. And then as you know that in Europe already have the European Commission have passed a new regulation we call the DMA, Digital Market Act. Maybe this will act execute next year. And then also Korea has passed to allow the data platform that allow alternate payment on the app something. So we should discuss more about this how we can create the healthy environment on the data platform. So if you have any issue and if someone that come to the Japanese market something, please feel free to contact us. Okay, thank you very much. So I hope that you stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Mr. Ito. Next, please join me in welcoming Mr. Stan Singh, Council Member of the National Tech Association of Malaysia, to share with us on the topic of mobile app development under pandemic. Mr. Singh, please.
Very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think I kind of enjoyed that everybody has spent some time going through the app, but my perspective is going to be very, very different because what I did was I'm going to look at perhaps 2 years before the pandemic and 2 years during and as we know now it's the endemic. So let's look 2020 as the year mark. So I'm going to take 2018 and 2022 to see what happens. But it's a great day because I think in everything that you do in life, there's always a crisis and there's also this opportunity. Next, please. Yo, next slide. Thanks. Okay, so if you look at the headlines, I'm going to provide some thought leadership here. Crisis versus opportunity and the way to go. Let's look at 2018, 2 years before the pandemic started in 2020. What happened in 2018? This is a global number. There were 4.1 billion apps on Google Play and App Store. Lots of apps. And these apps include games, businesses, tools, education, name it. The combination of the development of the app in 2018, we had 4.1 billion on Google Play and App Store. And in 2018, the global revenue for the App Store, the app development rather, I should say, was 365 billion. That's a lot of money. But then again, if you look at 2022, suddenly there's a huge jump. What happened? I mean, everybody was in a crisis mode. They were, there was a quiet period down. But what happened to this specific mobile app development industry? But if you look at the numbers of year 22, that is in red. Now this is estimated, but this year, this revenue shot up to, or will be, in the region of about 808.7 B in revenue. Now, what contributed those? Let's examine some of the pointers. First and foremost, let's look at the COVID crisis and the lessons that we learned from it. Number one, there were lockdowns, there was quarantine period in many countries. In fact, in all the countries that I can imagine, there was a work from home attitude. We also have the extensive use of social media platform, which means that things were triggered. There were larger emphasis on e-business and e-commerce areas. There were also emerging technologies that came about, offered a whole bunch of stuff to the industry while during this period. There was also a lot of contact tracing going on, which meant that we needed to use some kind of tool to do contact tracing in some parts of the world at least. We also had customers that were from what we call a close contact, a brick and mortar type of engagement. Suddenly now we have to deal with them during the pandemic where we have no contact, but through some way of a platform or some way of an app. So customer management engagement became a big deal. Education and healthcare plus retail also started to change their business model and their formats. And obviously, as you can imagine, a retailer who is actually in a brick and mortar suddenly now has to deal with an environment where he do not have any access to his area, his customers. He has to maybe change. How do we then go into a hybrid model? How do we then realign himself to get into this perspective? So number of things, of course, has to make that change, to make that adaptation, and that was obviously through the development of some form of app so that they could reach out to their customers. Education, of course, became a big deal. Students couldn't go, but they had to learn from home. How do you then change that, make that shift? Healthcare was another issue. Obviously, you couldn't visit. Many of the hospitals were closed, but only open to COVID patients. And obviously, doctors were accessible, but they were not accessible physically. So how do you then bridge that gap? Business apps and some of those applications, particularly in the area of accounting, in the area of trying to get your invoices, in the area of trying to get, obviously, some of your documentation going right in the business. How did that all then came about? There were huge gaps during the crisis mode. And at the same time, there were also variables. But the variables were not active because we did not have real apps to kind of control that or to make that move. In some area, obviously, that is to bring about the easeability or the usability of the app with the variables. Last but not least, but the list doesn't stops here. The logistics part of it, the supply chain management, the supply goods, the buying overseas, using things from various of your suppliers, and how do you then bring that into the ecosystem of the organization. Now, all these conditions created great opportunity for mobile app development. So during the lockdown or during the period that I just mentioned, I think the mobile app industry suddenly woke up and started to realize that actually there is a great silver lining in this crisis mode. So many applications were developed. So if you look at the numbers from 2018, the 365 billion, how this year in 2022, it is suddenly jumped on to 808.7 B. That constitutes the fact that you actually had a lot of apps that have been developed that have been remodified, that have been rebooted to address some of those new changes, particularly in the area of emerging technologies as well. With the mode of AI, now with the mode of blockchain, for example, and other things that are coming on, and with the metaverse that is in a space with basically helping every industry to come to some form of a congruent connectivity. So the mobile app actually became the game changer. So this is the reason why this industry is actually growing. While many industries are suffering, but this industry actually is growing in such a fast pace. So I would really encourage you, obviously, and also from my position, because as you know, I'm also the chairman of Avita, as the logo at the back, which means I have visibility of seeing what actually happening in the ICT industry, particularly in the mobile app industry. I see that more and more over the last 3-4 years, changes coming about. There are a lot of development, even in the primary school, the secondary, the tertiary. Students have been taught, and there are a lot of mobile apps have been developed right now. So I think this is a way to go. So you are actually, I wouldn't say in a red ocean perspective, but you're actually in a blue ocean, if I can sum that up. Next, please. Well, I say that this conditions actually created industry. Now let's look at it in summary. Okay, I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. Number one, many industries were badly affected during the pandemic, which is true. And in fact, some of them are still in the recovery mode. Some of them are still struggling. I'm not even sure that they can make ends meet. While obviously we do have a big issue, which is the talent shortage, the talent development, training and all that factor comes in. While at the same time, the app industry has actually flourished, and it continues to do so. It is going in such a faster rate. Number point two, I think is important. This is a great time, and this is the great time and the right opportunity now to harvest. So if you are a mobile app developer, I would really, really strongly encourage, look at all the business gaps, look at all the pain points of the industry, look at where some things that you need to ensure that you can address, and some people have never thought of, for example, use this opportunity right now and use your talent in your the development of your mobile app to address those needs. And in fact, you can address many, many industries. There isn't a thing called a mobile app that is specifically for retail or for manufacturing or for healthcare, but mobile app addresses just about everything. Why? Because it's actually across the denominator, across every industry. It is actually a game changer in every industry. So your timing is actually very, very correct right now. So if you're in a mobile app development, I would be very happy for you, because it is time to go after and get those things done for the industry. Last but not least, I would like to also express here that the pandemic actually has not just caused, how shall I say, livelihood and lives that are disrupted, but it actually has disrupted in another way, and it has created a huge phenomena to create an Excel kind of attitude for mobile app developers, and actually will not stop there, because this is now the trend. Everything that I do, even in my own business, when I consult, when I talk to my clients, I think one of the things that I always say, like to add on, is that a way I can use a mobile app to address this? Could I use the mobile app to do my communication? Can I use the mobile app to access my data? Could I use the mobile app to then bridge the gap between me and my customers? So you can see that the list actually goes on. So on that note, I would like to strongly sum up by saying that the pandemic has actually created a huge opportunity for the mobile app industry. And I certainly want to thank you for this opportunity that I have to share this with you with the little time that I have. But I think it's a great way just to tell you the news, that the numbers that I shared earlier tells you the story that number will not change. In fact, I'm of the opinion, and this is my view. By the way, these numbers are taken from Statistica, the company that actually looks at worldwide mobile app development and where things are and all that. So the numbers are quite close. I'm of the opinion that this number that is estimated 808.7 B will burst. It will burst, because I can see a great change. I mean, some of the numbers that I shared by my colleagues earlier also tells me that the numbers are actually going to go greater in that sense. So on that note, I truly wish you well, and I want to thank you for the opportunity that I have little time to share with you, but hope this information that I shared, you can take back and make it a home run for you. So thank you once again for this opportunity, and we be well and wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Now we're glad to have Mr. Sam Wong, General Manager of Passport from Hong Kong, to share about post-pandemic trend and opportunity for apps development. Mr. Wong, please.
Apps development. First of all, let me share some data for you for the mobile economic in China. By the end of 2020, 1.22 billion of people already subscribed to mobile service in China. And that is equivalent to 83% region populations. And the subscriber in China for mobile user actually is slowed down. The goal of that is slowing down, and that is meeting their market saturations. So it's increased in a very little percentage every year by less than 1%. Here is about 0.6% and 0.8% for the same connections. But for mobile internet users, there would be a more expand opportunity over here for around 200 million numbers for picking up the mobile internet users. The second things that data that I want to share is the smartphone adoptions is now 73% in 2020 and expects to be 89% in 2025. And more IoT devices and NB-IoT devices will be connected to the internet. And it expects to increase by more, around 1 billion in number in 2025 to 2.29 billion. And the usage in 5G in China is actually increasing, and China government is actually promote very hard for 5G development. So there would be the downscale in 3G or 4G adoption numbers and connections in China, and forecast that in 2025, the share between 4G and 5G is around 50%. And the increase in the usage of 5G will be increased from now 12% to 2025 47%. So actually from this data point of view, usage of more 5G is actually gaining more, I can say it's more usage in adoption for Industry 4.0 and more comprehensive internet usage for mobile entertainment, video, gaming experience. And first of all, I will share you one of the trends and opportunities that using those 5G models that can help in the Chinese economy. And for app device point of view, there will be opportunities for getting into solutions and service that can contemplate with Industry 4.0 to deliver such product or solutions. First of all, there would be a data and cloud solutions that is adopted into the industries. Data will become even more valuable. And when it is accurate, and if there is an insight from data mining, and as the data is instantly and real-time delivery in the ecosystem or over the supply chain, that will then can more transparent in using the machinery, those data. And eventually, if there is opportunities that you build up a business model that is healthy for the whole supply chain, there would be changing your cost center to actually be the value driver of your business. And then for the whole industry is actually you can use a lot of device, NB-IoT device, robot, cobot, and drum to make your supply chain more safer and more efficient. Here I can share with you some key questions that the enterprise will ask when they consider the upcoming of those Industry 4.0 things, and what in their mind is what technology and technique that can they deploy or capture by their internal external data from supply chain value chain. And this is a typical questions for enterprise they need to answer when they transfer from traditional enterprise to actually have digital transformations to Industry 4.0 enterprise. So they will also ask about how could they benefit from shared information across the supply network, and how their supply chain can actually elevate the safety risk by using the robot, camera, or other technologies that can actually benefit and reduce costs for their manufacturing. So here is for the app developers, actually they can develop service in this category that can tackle those problems and those questions that raised by the enterprise owner. So I can say there is a lot of advanced manufacturing tools and IoT product service package that can sell to those industries, and I can find in China a lot of apps and SaaS program, actually in the cloud optimization program that can actually help their industry to go. Second, there will be, I can say, a digital workspace, and there will be a meeting between those I can say, is using the technology to actually mix the physical world. Customer generally integrate in person and digital element to create a compelling customer brand experience. They're using the physical plus digital merge to actually gain their brand experience that can actually bond their customer experience. And also in the point of view that tailor-made the designs for the audience, and they actually tailor-made their customer experience to let them to involve in a lot of different individual behavior, attitudes, and using the big data analytic tools such as NLP, visual camera, to actually help those emotion, attitude things that can get into the data point. So they can create better customer experience upon those technologies. Same over here, there will be some questions that the enterprise will ask. They typically will ask how actually the technologies can help their customer experience by consistent across different network between physical and digitals. And also they will ask the organization experience with technology that will offer to personal experience, both in person and in digital world, and how their data is machine readable. So the customer data, once you have transactions or there is an order, how can those data transfer into digital print that can share between your customer or your supply chain, so that you can actually create value from those data. So the main point here is how to turn your brand turn the brand into the bond, and how to actually get their emotional bond from customer at the enterprise scale. And secondly, that is no more about the human experience in time of uncertainties. So is when they took in the weekly conversation and insights on how branding can respond to uncertainty that's happened occasionally that the whole customer experience can be mitigate and more better customer experience throughout the process. Third is about the digital work pace. So the work is gonna to work in different way. So how can you manage and monitor the workforce and your employee that actually how can they perform their jobs better? And there is a lot of measure and manage tools in nowadays roles. There is a digital workplace technology that can help employees gain insights that enable them to identify patterns and also make predictions and behavior predictions, and how those predictions can actually fine-tune the performance and have a better efficiency of working. So also there is a difference in the office of terms of future work. So any others such as co-working space, such as not using the headquarters or a large office, instead of having those small office in different regions, and to get more, I can say it's get more on-site working experience and combined with the off-site working experience. The same here is also how do the enterprise is assess the employee and team performance, especially for the remote workers. What step is going to do to improve the performance? This is the questions that the enterprise will ask. And also, what step have you taken to virtually nurture the spontaneous employee connections? And also, how can you redesign the office and adopt different technology tools in the physical office that can optimize and support the collaborations and productivities? From over here is that actually a lot of opportunity over here for app developer to design different SaaS program, different ERP systems that can actually help with the work process in their digital workplace. There is more I would like to share. There will be a trend for live streaming e-commerce. So picking up the e-commerce is actually after pandemic is everyone is buying things online rather than in physical world. So how can KOL or how influencer can actually have a better experience and bonding to customer to sell the item would be a chance for doing live streaming. And also there is opportunities in health sector. Virtual and non-distant medical consultations would be another chance that can actually have picking up in the medical sector. So how is actually is the same things as I shared before. It's just how can you get your customer engaged and how their customer experience throughout their home virtual medical consultations is actually good enough for them to have a repeated spending in those categories. So design your apps and design your business solutions that is tailor-made and that is have a better customer experience is the key point for develop the apps. And also from after post-pandemic, actually is people is getting entertainment and they have more time spending on the phone. So short video entertainment and also a very simple game experience is actually become a trend in physical world, that using mobile apps to do those entertainment and small game to pay to spend their times. Also, actually is the same things for distant learning is happening. You do not need to physically attend into class to learn. You do not need to actually, if you join a yoga class or join a gym class, have a benefit of have those devices and those smart apps that can actually help you to monitor your physical data, and also have a live stream technologies that can actually have a better experience in doing distant learning. There is a lot of monitoring that even in you are joining a joint class, art class, there is a different tools that for use to have a better classroom experience throughout the distant learning. So overall, is actually using the new technology of data, cloud solutions, mobile app, internet, or 5Gs that have a better streaming experience that can know a lot of data in a short period of time and with no very low latency. So everyone that can actually enjoy using their mobile phones to experience different type of field. And also, no matter in a workplace or using for medical learning, and also for entertainment. That is my sharing today. So thank you for listening to my presentations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wong. Now, may I invite Mr. Tun King, Chairman of Myanmar Computer Professionals Association, to share with us on Myanmar ICT utilization during crisis period. Mr. King, please.
First, let me briefly. Good afternoon, everyone. Greeting from Myanmar. And my name is Tong Kai. I'm from Myanmar Computer Federation, MCF. First, let me briefly introduce MCF. It was formed by Computer Science Development Law of 1996 and is a non-government organization. Under MCF, we have two parts: MCPA, the Professional Society, and MCIA, the ICT Industry Association. It is me, I'm 50 and serving as the current chairman of MCPA, Myanmar Computer Professional Association. This is just one of the activities of MCF. The first IDPAC exam carried out again first time for 2 years because of the COVID and hard times. The exam has the same exam date in 7 countries. For young ICT technicians who want to go and work in Japan, and these 7 countries usually sit for the exam. Okay, let me discuss about the evolution of the software applications and apps based on the behavior changes of people in Myanmar in the area of ICT and application utilization. Okay, so first, after COVID-19, we have the time of military gender, and after that, most of the daily transactions go online. People used to do their shopping online for the daily food, household materials, clothing, jewelry, watches, and even for the antique materials. For normal shops and sellers, they also come up online for increased sales. Here, online sales are doing based on trust and on good word of mouth. Although there are some frauds and deception, they don't survive in long run. Majority is going on. Because of the increased online transaction, online payment also become essential. Since the withdrawal of cash from bank is still very difficult these times, and most of ATMs are not working, or online money transfer and payment from mobile banking is the only way for our online transactions. And because of these increased online transactions, delivery services become essential, and in these 1 year, many delivery services organization emerge as company, as a team, and individual as a taxi drivers and the bikers, and also software application like delivery management systems emerge. E-commerce or page POS systems and restaurant software system has to add new delivery modules or integrate with the existing delivery service like Foodpanda and GrabFood. Since it is a very hard time for most of the people in Myanmar, we need a break. And here we can see that the increased use of social media and the entertainment pages. For example, the international entertainment service like Netflix, the local movie provider Maha Mobile, and many the free movies uploaded on Facebook and Telegrams. The use of these are increased noticeably. And during this time, hard times, the enforcement of law and order is somehow weak. So we can see the increased installation of security systems like CCTV systems, alarms, and door locks, etc. These are the behavior changes and ICT utilization of the people in Myanmar. As for the working people, the online meetings become normal, and work from home and work online is a regular pattern. And we see that integration of these meeting apps, online collaboration apps with existing ERP systems. And training schools and education business need to survive because of COVID-19 and military coup, and everything is difficult, and most of them are still closed down. Online classes, lectures, and webinars become regular pattern for children, and even for the advanced learning of the middle-aged working people. This somehow the increase in demand for the computer equipments like laptop computers, internet router, ISP services, and camera in the market, maybe both for the instructor and the students. It is very interesting that in the area of politics and government, the ICT utilization and apps utilization also increase. Both the military junta and the NUG, the people elected government use ICT technology in their management, operation, propaganda, fundraising, etc. We can see that NUG use online applications for fundraising activities like selling lottery tickets, bonds, and even they now release the digital currency and NUG Pay. These are the software development trends in Myanmar these days. Even the small and medium-sized enterprise businesses become interested in online sales and cloud-based applications. And more online business applications evolve in the areas of online sales, delivery management, mobile money and mobile banking integration, mobile payment for existing POS terminals, team collaboration, and remote working. There are some major challenges for software developer and software house. The main thing is the migration of the developers because of the crisis and the hard time. Most of them migrated to the neighboring countries, and some are still in the remote area and cannot work. And another thing is the inflation and shortage of the foreign currency. Electricity cut pop, and we need to use the generators, and the fuel price is quite high, and there are some and also fuel shortages. And difficulty in import of ICT equipments because of the regulation current government, and difficulty in getting ICT related services from outside like Microsoft and Google services because of the regulations, and also because it's very hard to transfer the foreign currency from Myanmar to outside, and also the sanction of these ICT giants to Myanmar. These are some of the newcomers in the software market, mostly cloud-based application and online softwares. Here are some of the apps who participated in the ASA 2021. We really appreciate these developers to participate in ASA 2021, even though we are in very, very hard time. Okay, let me conclude my discussion here. Pray for Myanmar and hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. King. Now, may I have the honor to invite Mr. Kumar Kanagasingham, President of FinTech Association of Sri Lanka, to share with us the importance of FinTech applications during COVID-19. Mr. Kanagasingham, please.
Good afternoon, good evening. So I'm Kumar Kanagasingham, President of FinTech Association of Sri Lanka. I'm happy to be a speaker at the ASA Smart Awards. In 2019, I participated in person at Cyberport, Hong Kong, and it was really an amazing an event. Unfortunately, a couple of years we missed, and these are also so glad to meet everyone virtually. So this is my topic today: importance of fintech applications during COVID-19. So this is a very important subject, and it's really the fintech application affected the economy and society very much. So I thought of come out with a few points. Next. COVID-19 pandemic has provided a catalyst for digital transformation through financial technology or fintech. The digital transformation, the COVID really accelerated it as a catalyst, because normally people were reluctant to use anything through applications. They went to banks, they went to the financial organization, but after the COVID and the lockdown and so many other the unexpected chaos, so the fintech financial technology help a lot, and the COVID actually accelerated. When you might wonder what's fintech financial technology, it is a normal financial technology. Finance is mostly facilitated by the technology. So this is there for some time, but in the recent past, this has become to a new level. But the COVID-19 really accelerated as a catalyst. Next. Fintech applications have proven resilient and adaptable, contributing to COVID-19 pandemic relief efforts. So a lot of other facilities in the financial service, the banks, they were closed, and most of the part people got access, and but the fintech, it was resilient in the pandemic time, and as a really adaptable. And so not only one area of people on one particular continent, almost everyone around the world, they utilize whom they have already had the smartphones and the network facility. So this influence almost the entire society in the world. So directly and indirectly, that facilitated the pandemic relief efforts a lot. Next. Fintech applications have continued to help expand access to financial services during the COVID-19. With strong growth in digital financial services, serving vulnerable market segments like micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. These are the very vulnerable market segments, micro, small, and medium-sized, because they are already there. Most of these industries are in a survival mode already. So when hit back the COVID and because of the lockdown and all these things, they are become very vulnerable, more vulnerable. So because of the fintech application, some other way they manage to survive in their businesses by catering to the people, the needy people. So that help a lot of the people around the world. So not only in Asia or not only Africa, almost every other continent, they because of that they were facilitated. Next. Fintech applications are keeping up economic activity during COVID-19 by helping to reduce the cost of providing services. Because of the financial services is expensive, because people will have to travel and people will have to go from one location to other location. But because of the financial application, you just download it in your smartphone, and then you can do the transaction straight away from one bank to other bank, from the customers to business, or the business to the customer. So the people are very much reduced the overheads. So these applications reduce a lot. A number of other ways, even less commission, and they reduce the commission. You don't have the tariff, less tariff when you are going to do something through the certain fintech applications, the transaction. So that helped a lot in the pandemic time. And also it helped to reach more people. Because normally, if people are going to visit the banks and the ATM machines, so it will take some time, and they will have to be in the queue, and they will have to, like they can go in the office hours, or in the, they can go 24 hours. But here people can just download the application, or they can go to the web mode directly, and 24 hours, even the midnight, they can do the transaction. So it was there 24 hours. So that created the people to serve. You don't want to be in the queue. So that facilitated a lot to reach more people conveniently. And reduce the need for face-to-face interaction. Because here everything is online. Sometimes we have got some application, it is a facial recognition. So you don't need to, even the certain, if you want to start your business activity, you don't want to show your face. Some of the the application, they can identify our face, and that's enough for them. Whether we are real or not, they will have some sort of advanced artificial intelligence and sort of video and sort of kind of application that will recognize as a real person or not. And so we can register a business in the COVID time. And also we don't need, other than that, we don't need in the face-to-face interaction for most of the transaction or for most of the any other business activities through these fintech applications. So that facilitated a lot the economic activity, the pandemic time. Next. Fintech applications have increased consumer participation in financial markets during COVID-19. Increased consumer participation in financial markets. So why this increment suddenly? The financial markets, people were investing already, but suddenly because of the COVID, they were staying at home most of the time because of lockdown everywhere around the world. So they had more time. Because of the more time, they had enough time to take decisions. So what to do? The consumer thought more carefully about how to manage their finances while working from home. So because more time, so they can take more decision, how they can manage better. They don't want to manage in a rush. They can take very careful decision and where they can finance and where they can withdraw and where they can redeposit, and a lot of decisions they are taken because they have got more time because of the lockdown. And then uncertain economic outlook. With customers looking to new channels to invest in the face of COVID-led market fluctuation. Because of the COVID, a lot of other traditional market, there are a lot of fluctuations. So people thought of there are other ways to invest, and from there's so many other financial instruments are there to invest nowadays. Even some people, they withdraw money from the traditional banks, even the share market, some people, they pull the money, they invested in the bonds. Some people, they invested from the bonds market and they invested in the share market. Some people, they withdraw from all these bonds and share market, they are invested in the crypto market, cryptocurrency, either Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything. But now the Bitcoin and the Ethereum is undergoing a very difficult time. Everybody knows. Once it was 68,000 US dollars, now it had dropped below US dollars 20,000. It's a very tough time. But people were at that time, they were transferring from their investment from the fiat currency or the fiat investment into crypto. So it was happening in during the height of the pandemic. And the technological progression. All consumers could open an account and quickly start investing on their smartphones or online. Because of the technological progression, because we are using smartphones, 4G technology, some very few, maybe 5G technology, but most so it is very quick. Some of the fintech applications are very user friendly. So we can just download and a few guidance and all, we can start the investment very quickly. A lot of applications are from facilitated by the robo-advisors, the bots. So they are facilitating the advising. They are duplicating the humans because of the machine learning and the artificial intelligence. It's because of the technological progression. We don't want to go and meet in person an advisor. Everything is robo-guided. So these things increase the consumer participation in the financial markets during the COVID-19, and this helped a lot the mental stability of the people around the world, either in Hong Kong or in Singapore or in Dubai or New York or London, everywhere, anywhere. People become, they are going to feel they are losing their money or their investment, they will become sometimes uncomfortable. So because of these applications, most of them, they are very happy. They were just transferring here and there. So that made a lot of stability in the society. Next. So thank you for listening my this brief presentation, and thank you to all the fintech applications. Mainly my thanks go to the fintech applications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanakasangham. Next, may I invite Mr. John Koo, Director of Taiwan Startup Stadium, to share on the topic, the content of Startup Island, Taiwan Initiative. Mr. Koo, please.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? If you wouldn't mind, give me 1 second while I pull up these slides. But thank you, everybody, for joining up today. There we go. Give me 1 second. Apologies. Good morning, guys. How are you? Allow me to share my screen, and thank you guys, everybody, for your time today. My name is Alan, and good afternoon to everybody in Hong Kong and around the region. I'm dialing in here from Taipei, Taiwan, and it's an honor to be hosted by the WTIA team, Wireless Technology Industry Association. I'm here in Taipei to share about Startup Island Taiwan brand initiative, along with a bit of other Taiwan startup happenings. It happened in the last year. I'll be sharing with you today, guys. Now, as Taiwan's startup ecosystem has been on an upward trajectory over the last 5 years, there's been many different support mechanisms to help Taiwanese tech companies go international and also create new solutions. Within the last year, we've created this brand called Startup Island Taiwan. It's a collaboration with the multiple international government agencies here in Taiwan and abroad to help overseas companies look to Taiwan, and for Taiwan companies look for overseas operations and collaborations. This year, we had started a few different brands and initiatives, and I'll be sharing with those initiatives coming forward. In the run-up to the establishment of Taiwan Startup Island, and we had many key opinion leaders and industry experts across many different disciplines. They were invited to share their thoughts and suggestions to better form a united brand and voice to amplify everyone's efforts for this ecosystem here in Taiwan. As with all agreements between many different stakeholders, it took a few rounds of discussions to get everybody's opinions to help bring forward this idea. Now, so in 2019, Startup Island Taiwan was created. Now, how we do that? I'm going to share in the next few slides how we're promoting the ecosystem here in the Taiwan tech scene, inside and out, together. In 2020, Startup Island Taiwan hosted 2 innovation showcase delegation tours, and those were held in Kaohsiung and Taoyuan. In Kaohsiung, we allowed our visitors to check out one of the world's top VR experience operators and named Brogent. one of Brojan's VR experiences was also named Europe's Best Rides in 2017. In Tarin, the attendees got to check out where global auto companies test autopilot functions on electric vehicles. This was done in a mountainside. Currently, the operating wireless vehicles, or EVs, will be the Volkswagen Group, Foxconn's new MIH initiative, along with Tesla, are testing here in Taiwan for their EV. Here's a sample of that initiative in a day's agenda. We took most of our guests through this agenda here just to check out most of Taiwan's tech scene. Just a sample here to show you guys. Now, in Taiwan, there's a major event here called Meet Taipei, held every year. Many of you guys here listening, we invite you to join. This is the largest startup event hosted here in Taiwan every year, in dealing with startups in technology, hardware, or software. Our team has worked to bring in notable investors from SOSV, I guess I say IVS, Golden Gate, and so forth here to Taipei. Many of them share their experiences and how they invest and operate their portfolios around the region. We host fireside chats and many panels during this time period. Along with our official website, Startup Island Taiwan is also connected on all the other major social media platforms. Something noticeable is our Twitter page. It is trilingual. It is English, Japanese, and also Chinese Mandarin. The reason being is for Taiwan startups, Japan is a major focus market, being that they've listed that in their surveys as one of the top 3 targets for their future expansion. So we host a Twitter page for that expansion hopes. In addition, we host a media channel on YouTube where we create informative short videos highlighting successful founders and entrepreneurs from Taiwan and abroad. We also share some of the upcoming technologies emerging from Taiwan in these videos. You can find these videos on our YouTube channel. One of the technologies that is very interesting is by TG3D. In one of these videos, they have a virtual tailor, simple IoT device that gives perfect measurements from your home to other boutique tailors and clothing companies to help people buy clothes from their house or from their phone. Next up, I'd like to share some interesting numbers and statistics about the ecosystem here in Taiwan. And the first part is why is Taiwan great for foreign founders or overseas company looking to expand their teams? Taiwan's high number of engineering and STEM graduates, including many of the tech clusters, or what we call science parks around the country, have attracted many corporations to the island. Many of those includes Microsoft's first IoT and AI learning center outside the US. And also, you could say, I guess Decathlon hosts their only innovation center outside France here in Taiwan. ASML or ASML from the Dutch company of the Netherlands, who makes the world's most advanced semiconductor downstream assembly. They also host the only other cluster here in Taiwan outside their own country. So it does have a lot of tech infrastructure here in Taiwan. Next up, Taiwan ranks highly in the capability of innovation and creating new and interesting products. And to name a few examples, I guess you could say Volkswagen Group hosts their only awards for Aldi here in Taiwan, and including many of the, I guess, Google products, Google Pixel, Google Ring is all, the teams are all hosted here in Taiwan to create those products. Next up, I'd like to share how companies and teams outside the country can come and access resources. Most of these slides here are organized by the Find It team from the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research. So the data is coming from that team. And currently a majority of the startup hubs located here in Taipei, but not far off are many of the southern cities of Kaohsiung, Tainan, and Taichung. They host a number of hubs supporting tech companies to operate and assist in their prototyping, makeup of teams, and also connecting to local corporations for partnership or POC opportunities. So many of these startup hubs are located around the country. Major influx and increases have been in 2018 and 19. Slowdown in 2020 due to COVID, but there'll be an uptick coming up soon again, I believe. Accelerators and what's operating here to help the young and upcoming teams operate are going to be these categories of professional accelerators, academic accelerators, and enterprise and investment accelerators. You could categorize your professional accelerators as those having a focus on a specific industry, such as 5G, food tech, or even IoT, or even health. Many of those include MOX, who is supported by SOSV, and that stands for Mobile Only Accelerator, or even BE, which is a health focused. Next would be enterprise software accelerators. Enterprise accelerators are mostly those operated by the larger corporations here in Taiwan, such as Strawn, or even Foxconn, or even Acer. Those are mainly looking for new opportunities outside their current business sector, or assisting those inside their own current companies. Academic accelerators are those operated by universities generally. And overwhelmingly, professional enterprise accelerators take up a large portion of those operating here in Taiwan. Next, I'd like to share some data compiled by the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research. This shows the amount invested and the number of deals taking place. It shows an upward trend over the last 5 years outside of a dip in 2019. 2020 showed a rebound in a total amount invested at about 873 million. But in the next slide, I'd like to share where where that money is going and how much money is invested in each category of startups. For Taiwan, healthcare services is considered high in the world or tops in the world because of the national health insurance program here. And that also actually translates into the startups and companies providing solutions and technologies in this field. As you can see, healthcare leads in both the number and also the amount invested over the last 5 years. Coming up would be auto tech, as Taiwan plays a key role in the electric vehicle supply chain. That will be proven more and more so through the semiconductor industry and also the carbon fiber precision manufacturing here, and also including PCB boards. So that is the connection for electric vehicles. But it's good to see the diversification outside the traditional manufacturing that Taiwan has been known for. Next up, I like to share on where a lot of these, and you can see through a map where a lot of these are located to better support those startups looking to bring their services and products to Taiwan, or abundant amount of support centers. This particular map was created as part of our 6 municipalities report and available on our website. But as you can see, there are maker spaces, co-working spaces, and incubators, all available for teams to access and engage with other local communities. Many of these organizations support overseas startups and companies working to create production teams or R&D teams of programmers here in Taiwan. We have seen a lot of decentralized teams working out of many of the co-working spaces also. Next up, in continuing this effort to amplify the tech prowess and the tech capabilities here in Taiwan, we in Startup Island Taiwan had hosted the president to share awards with 9 of the top startups coming out of Taiwan. And in this slide, you'll see those 9 companies along with the pictures of the founders, along with the president of Taiwan. In the top right corner, you can see the 9 companies listed. A few might be recognizable, such as Gogoro or maybe even 17 Live. Gogoro works with Japan's Panasonic on battery technology, and the Gogoro Taiwan team produces the hardware for the electric vehicle motorcycle, which is coming up, including Gogoro will be working in Southeast Asia with Grab and some of the operators down there for the electrification of the motorbikes. So that should be upcoming very soon. I really appreciate everybody's time today. Here's some contact information if you'd like to reach out. And also, my name is Alan John, listed here. If anything, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Really appreciate everybody's time today. If any questions, again, please share through email or LinkedIn at Alan John. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Koo. Next, please welcome Mr. Prista Harana-Berna, Senior Consultant of Business Innovation Center, National Science and Technology Development Agency, Thailand, to share with us on the topic, the Thailand Innovation After Crisis COVID-19. Mr. Harana-Berna, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Prista from the Business Innovation Center, National Science and Technology Development Agency of Thailand. I believe we met somewhere because the Asia Smart App Summit and Awards invited me a few years ago, and I always be there. But this year, we need to see you online. Okay, last year, we already present about Thailand innovation during crisis COVID-19. But for this year, today, I'm going to tell you about Thailand innovation after crisis 19. Because during we doing many projects in Thailand, but after that, we also have some more projects to do with the new normal and the new way to live and to run the business of Thailand. Okay, Thailand has a very big impact from COVID-19 because you know that we are a tourism country, we are industrial, agriculture, and service. Many of business have been slowed down, and some of them have been stopped. But we strongly believe that innovation can be recover the economy. From this graph, you will see that Thailand, we have a very high cumulative infection. We have high recovery, but we have very low new case. That means we are #1 country for the effort to limit recovery from COVID-19. This is from the GCI said report. I have a little bit to recap that in Thailand we have learned well normal practice, a new normal practice, which is okay. This is the common things now. We do our social distancing, we're wearing masks, we do temperature screening in every single building, in every single entrance, everywhere in Thailand. So I think it's ready to come back, to run everything as usual with new normal. We do online activities, many things. We have training, workshop, we have pitching, we have orientation, we have business consultant, we do a training, we do seminar and experience sharing. This is common things now. But what we need to do next after the COVID, we have a new platform. Actually, it's not quite new, but it's open innovation platform. And one thing is that we need to do with everywhere in Thailand to make sure it's safe, because if people safe, is a basic thing, is a baseline to do others. And to increase the economy, we need to be held, and we need to be strong to do anything else. This is open innovation. It's we try to make people safe. But we're not doing alone. This is not just a government service or government agency doing, but we use many partners. For example, this project we call 2P Safety Tech. 2P is the patient and personnel. Personnel means personnel from the Department of Health. Let's say it's hospital. Like if you see on the left-hand side, you see the people from the health department. They know the problem. They have the real pain. They know what exactly they want, and they know the result, what they need to be solved that problem. But they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to make that happen. So we don't know as well, but we know someone who knows. We have inventor, because we are government agency. We do about science and technology development. So we have network about inventor, scientist, developer, of course. And for this way, we know their strength, we know their performance, and what we do is we matching them together to create a new innovation, to create a new solution with science and technology. And this is that project that we call 2P Safety Tech. You see that we have the same, we have the simpler things. We do simple things, but with the basic need, and we cannot make that away. So we need to focus on what we have to make sure the problem will be solved by the simple things with science and technology. And many of that is from application. I will show you some example. It's like we have smart lab system. It can be calculated and getting analyze the data to be information and send that information. It's not a real time, but it's much more shortened than before. So every patient, every second is valuable. So that can save many people. Another one is for the smart zero heart stroke. It can be like alert, a real time things. So if someone who have been a stroke, so you can take them to the hospital as soon as possible. And this thing is, maybe you will say it's not direct from the COVID-19, but it is effect, because staff in the hospital, when they working together with the COVID situation, and that part is take lots of time. So the normal patient is affected. So this one is help. Another example, this is it look like very basic. It's called bleed box. It's when mother, she's going to have a baby, the bleeding. We have like a weight scaling to detect, and with the sensor to detect how heavy is the blood. Because in some province we don't have enough staff, so this solution will help, and we link that through application on the mobile phone, so the nurse can come to check out the mother soonest. So it saves life. This is other things. The other one is like is to check about the diabetes online. You just follow by the instruction, and they have a reminder to take your medicine, to have your meal, to drink water, and is something different. It's kind of fun. So it's make people much more easy life to do. The other one is Omnitrick. It's a kind like an AI engine. It's detect when someone fall. Most of the AI thing like this, the problem is sometimes they don't know the patient they are falling, or they just lie down and get some sleep. And this one is can detect by the speed, by the angle. So when someone falling down, it's detect immediately, and that's of course save life. Last one I'd like to show it's a modern tracking. It's tracking everything. So if you're going to Thailand, it's tracking where are you safe or not, how is your health, how is your security, and of course one of the important thing is they do with a very security system, so it save you but not over limit to your privacy. So this one is make sure that if you come to Thailand, it should be safe for you. So we are ready, and welcome to Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harana Berna. Next, we are delighted to have Mr. Vai Anh Tuan, Vice Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City Computer Association Vietnam, to share with us the content of ICT for Business in Vietnam. Mr. Tuan, please.
Okay, I'm come from Vietnam. First of all, I would like to thank organize let me an opportunity to talking about the ICT in Vietnam and e-commerce and application in Vietnam through the past 5 years. Here you can see it's the overview of ICT Vietnam from the 2016 to 2020. 2020 it continues to grow up each year. The revenue from the hardware and device about 111 billion US dollars, and software 5.4 billion US dollars, and digital content near 900 million US dollars, and from the services it's 7.3 billion US dollars this year. For the application and e-commerce transaction B2C in Vietnam, we survey is at least 5,000 company, percentage of 89% private sector and 6% public sector, and 5% company overseas based in Vietnam. Last year, some result, the company have a business on the social network. You can see here it increase each year. This one is have doing business in social network, and this one is no have a business on social. You see it increase from the 39% to the 24% this year. And in the percentage of the company churn in the e-commerce, from the 19%, 70% to 22%, and continues increase from the 2019 to 2020. This one is have a result of the survey, and the company have application to sell in the mobile device through the 5 year from the 2019 from the 16% increase 1% to 2020, and the company have developed the application, sale application on mobile device through the 18, 19, and 2020. You can see is iOS, is Android, and Windows, and other. Mostly is application developed on the Android base. The company have a website support to the business on base application with the mobile app. Then you can see it's the buying in the smartphone, and it's advertising in the mobile app, and get order from the mobile app is the percentage of each year. On the 2020 and 2021 is the percentage increase just only the 2%. We think it's because in the COVID, the business down, some business, especially is for the commercial and for the food and other. In the COVID is increased, but in other sector is a decrease. This one is the time the customer and the client using on the e-commerce and the application on the online. You can see is mainly is from the 5 to 10 minutes, and second is the 5 minutes, and about the over 20 minutes with this one. This number from the 18, 19, and 22,000. And this one is the company answer is a successful order from on the mobile app is increased. But in the 2020 is don't increase because other business sector is slowed down for the COVID. In the picture from the B2B, it's this one is the company receives order on the online environment. You can see that from the email is biggest, and on the through the website is and through the e-commerce platform, and from the social network. This one thing about the behavior of the Vietnam client, Vietnam company. They most do into business transaction through the email, and the second through the social network, and through the e-commerce side. I think it's a step-by-step increase, but mostly in the email. And this one is from the company order through the online environment. The same is bigger in the email, and the second through the social network and website and the e-commerce platform. This one is through the 18, 19, and 22,000. And the company and they evaluation and measuring its efficiency of the selling through the online platform. is on the social networks more efficiency, 37%, through the website and 22%, and the mobile app is 23%, and its efficiency is lowest through the e-commerce side, 19%, and mainly is a medium result. Is you can see is near half, near 50% through the is a average and lower here. And is the COVID-19 in Vietnam is have some innovation developed for application in Vietnam. You can see this application is innovation is we think is most innovation in the e-commerce and e-banking because in Vietnam have a time to lock down. So lockdown in South Vietnam and lockdown in the whole country is the transaction and application e-commerce and payment online is increased very fast. And the second is the innovation development on the COVID. We think is education, included online learning and the content for the school, and many platform and many the tool using online for the online learning, for the create content for the school on the COVID time. In Vietnam, the COVID is near 2 years, but it's a serious, it's a lockdown. The people cannot come to school about the 1 year. On 1 year, so this one is application on education increase very fast. And the third is for the logistic and delivery. It's many apps. It's many apps which have a good UI UX appear on the logistic and delivery. Especially in Vietnam, it's Grab. It's increased very fast. Increased on the COVID, but the logistic have some platform for the sale and deliveries, vegetable and food and agriculture product from the other province to the central in the city like Hanoi, the Ho Chi Minh City. And the third is healthcare. It's some application on the healthcare support to the people who is have a disease ill on the COVID time. After COVID, this one is continues using and developed in the Vietnam now. For the I think it's you can see the picture I put in here, the QR code. It's a very useful and powerful for the application in Vietnam on the COVID time. For example, in the Ho Chi Minh City, have a application for the charity of the blood giving through the Red Cross organization. At that time, it have a solution to the helpful to invite the people is have a charity to give blood to the emergency and for the COVID pattern and other. Talking about the innovation in the technology in the art industry in Vietnam for the few next year, we think is some technology used on the time to increase IoT for for the mass in the industry some of the platforms, some product from the Vietnam is using for innovation and automation in the industry and the factory. For example, just one is Unilever upgrade to automation in their factory in Vietnam. All solution, software solution and integrated solution from the IoT through the Vietnam software vendor. And there is a complete successful the project after 2 years and ranking top 5 in all factory of the Unilever around the world. And IoT for the monitoring, for the transportation, for the agriculture is an increase, is fast, and we think it will be become the trends in Vietnam. In other technology, it's started the creative and the growing fast in Vietnam is the machine learning and AI, and we think it will be become the trend about the 2 years next. And the blockchain is new, but it's the blockchain community is developed so very fast in Vietnam now. It's we thinking about the technology become the trend in Vietnam the next 2 years. Talking about the support from the government, Vietnam government, we think is Vietnamese government is to have a strongly support to the ICT and digital economic and for the revolution 4.0 and the government and the Ministry of the Communication and Science give a lot of the decision to help and to make this a policy and environment for the ICT and for the software and the ICT company to support them to develop on the Vietnam. And on the 10 minutes, I just overview something about the Vietnam ICT in the application and some innovation, some technology using on the COVID time, and will become the trends is about the 2 or 3 years next. And once again, it's a thank you for organization to give me opportunity to talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tuan. Last but not least, we are honored to have Mr. Vo Lo, Chairman of WTIA, to proceed on stage to deliver the closing remarks and to share with us the highlights of mobile app industry survey conducted in 2021. Let's welcome Mr. Lo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to announce on recent mobile app industry trends and highlights. While the ASA Award come to the 8th edition with this significant industry survey conducted in Hong Kong for the 7th times, we are proud to announce the results are commissioned by WTIA and conducted independently by our implementation agent, Hong Kong PC, for the in-depth understanding of not only technology but recruitment trends of industry in 2021. The purpose are to identify needs of the industry and provide conclusive recommendations to policymakers as reference, which this recommendation helped WTIA have always urged to do for the community. Before entering to the world of data of surprise, exposing the results, may I explain the data was collected from the period of February to March 2022 targeting the management level of IT companies and especially related to the field of mobile apps development. Opinions and survey results were received and consolidated through either online questionnaire and telephone interviews with a total of 143 replies with a majority 129 replies from Hong Kong companies, and from the majority of Hong Kong respondents, 95% of SMEs, where the meaning of their business employee number would be within 15 persons. All right, all with the introduction, and let us dive into the excitement. Great news at first, with a significant increase for Hong Kong companies from 19% to 32% that are making profit. The overall economy for mobile app companies is still challenging. With that, while we shall see the bright and positive sign of the result and growth together. With the industry challenge reflected, there are more companies would think different funding scheme from the government scheme would provide support, while there are 36% of Asia companies make profit and major funding source from external investors. When it comes to different software platforms, iOS remains the top target platform with 44% in Hong Kong, followed with Android 33% and HTML5 30%. The top platform choice in Hong Kong seems to have a slight reduction of 77% in iOS adoption compared to 2020, where the results in other Asia regions with the majority target at Android than iOS as the product platform, where Android serves their first ranking, and this is reflective of the market share of respective smartphone products. Besides iOS and Android, there would be no company choose HTML5 as the top target product platform in Asia regions. Mobile apps would be serving different purpose in multiple areas, and let us dig into the distribution and types of apps in Hong Kong. The results show the majority of mobile apps would be business application, and the most common type app follow with the information platform and e-commerce, while the ratio in other Asian regions are more diversified. Most companies would go for development mobile apps related to information platform, with interesting the same rate of business application, e-commerce, and leisure and entertainment with 36% list as second. Technology trend is constantly changing with new elements, and we had included some selection to enhance the content of survey this year. Would be AI, machine learning, 5G, blockchain, and touchless UI. And the technology of location-based service is mostly adopted in Hong Kong and rest of the Asia. The newly added element, AI and machine learning, become the top 3 in Hong Kong this year, while it is the last in rest of Asia. 5G and Bluetooth low energy are the second in the rest of Asia. Knowing your customer is important with the technology elements mentioned, as well knowing the competitors. 86% of Hong Kong respondents reflect China as the major competitor in mobile app industry. Followed with India for the last 3 years. Some Hong Kong industry players indicate traditional developed Asian competitor like Korean and Japan are less competitive, and the competition has started shifting towards India. Singapore remains the major competitor in mobile apps industry in Asia, followed with India and China. As mentioned, the industry survey coming to the 7th edition, we look for improvements years to years and to reflect the actual environment with valid recommendations. Metaverse searched one of the hottest topic, and we found out that surprisingly 75% of Hong Kong companies are not ready for Metaverse, with a 95% are SMEs. Keep doing into the Metaverse, and the survey shows there is only 3% of Hong Kong companies will develop Metaverse mobile app product in 2022, with few reasons backing up, which are the lack of talent and money serving 37% and 26% accordingly. The third one would be they do not believe in Metaverse. Unlike the Hong Kong industry players are special of Metaverse, companies in Asia are more positive in developing Metaverse mobile app product. The initiative of user downloading a mobile apps would be obvious drive and attack by its different functions. But of course, we cannot miss out the design and experience contribute in apps. There are more and more Hong Kong companies show that they would be willing to allocate their resources in UX design, and it comes as a result with the average investment amount to user experience is higher for Hong Kong companies. Interesting fact that companies in rest of Asia spend longer time on their UX design cycle comparing to Hong Kong. There is around 50% companies in other Asian regions would spend more than 3 months, while there is only 19% for companies in Hong Kong. Guess the reason would be the most related to not only the industry culture, but overall living and working place of Hong Kong. The lack of technical staff would be seen as the common headache, and talent shortage issue is especially serious in Hong Kong, with 66% respondent reflected. This problem show less serious in the rest of Asia. And with our result collected, there is only 7% of the company in Asia regions respond that they do not suffer from the lack of technical staff. Just talk about the lack of technical staff, and now let us look for some solution to attack. Most of the Hong Kong and Asian companies would willing to improve package for staff retention, such as salary package, followed by recruit part-time freelance to minimize the impact from talent shortage issue. Okay, that's all for my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Law. Please be seated. Thank you so much. Here comes to the end of the Asia Smart App Summit. Thank you for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Before you go, please kindly fill out the e-survey for us. You can find the QR code on the screen. And coming up next, we'll have the Asia Smart App Awards 2021 award presentation ceremony at 6:30 p.m. today. For those who have registered, please kindly join us with the ceremony link we have sent you earlier. Thank you and goodbye.